Today we're gonna be talking about the second chakra, Swadhisthana. Swadhisthana, second chakra, normally known as the sacral chakra or the sexual chakra. Swadhisthana means my own place, my home. Can also mean my sweet place, my sweet spot, where I belong. Swadhisthana relates to the element water, and water has so many meanings. Water can be liquid, can be solid, can be steam. And this trilogy that we find in water is something that we can relate to the three gunas, to the three doshas, to the three devi. Even our life, when we are kids, we're more like water. We're more, we're flow with life, we're more soft. Once we grow up, we become more like ice, more rigid, more stiff. And later, once we're older, we become more like gas, vapor, steam, deconstruction. So, this chakra relates a lot to sex, but not just to sex, to pleasure, all kinds of pleasure. And this is a big topic that can be confusing because the basis of these spiritual practices are to develop detachment, to develop this holy indifference, equanimity. Equanimity meaning not reacting with craving towards pleasure nor aversion towards non-pleasure or pain. So we have those two. That's the basic duality of life. Second chakra is duality. It's number 2. And this is the basic duality. We tend to react with craving towards pleasure, aversion towards pain. And what we need to do, the challenge, is to stop reacting. Because every time we react, we generate karma. And this is the basis of karma. We react with craving or aversion. We want to develop equanimity, holy indifference. Stop reacting, our reactive mind. Second chakra is our reactive mind. It relates to manas, our sensory mind. Has to do with all our senses. But specifically, second chakra relates to our taste, our mouth. Water relates to taste. And at the same time, our mouth relates to our sexual organs, reproductive organ. So we want to get into a balanced relationship with the waters in our body. We know our body is mainly water, and it works in those ways, in these 3 states of water, where sometimes inside our body the waters crystallize, become rigid. Sometimes there's gas. We can feel these things. Sometimes there's more movement. We need to find that balance in life. And the water is a great example. Water can also be electrified and charged, positively or negatively charged. Chemical energy, this is water. Water dissolves, and water also charges. Water has so many capabilities. So what we need to understand here is how, even if, so second chakra, having to do with these cravings, with these sensations, with this pleasure. So even if the goal of yoga or spiritual practices is developing equanimity between this basic duality and stop to react, craving pleasure, but at the same time, craving and pleasure, this is known as kama. Kama, craving, pleasure, desire. Kama Sutra relates to sex, but at the same time it relates to love. This is what it's about. Kama is desire, and this is the basis of life. desire is important. The thing is that we tend to develop some unhealthy cravings, and this we can see through Ayurveda. So Ayurveda, when we start getting an imbalance, our body, our mind naturally starts craving good cravings, healthy cravings, what we need to become healthy again, to get balanced. Whilst if we don't listen to these healthy cravings, we're gonna get sicker, and then we're not gonna have any healthy cravings. We will just have these morbid, toxic cravings. So it's about finding out where's this line, what are my healthy cravings and what are my unhealthy cravings. So within this Hindu cosmology, we have what's called Purusharthas. The Purusharthas are the four principles of life. First, it's Dharma, and we will have another lesson about Dharma. Dharma basically is our purpose, our life purpose, the eternal law. So if we can align with our life's purpose, then our second Purushartha is Artha, which means it relates to money, getting the resources we need. Working, we need to find our purpose, and then we need to work. And then we need to fulfill our kama, our desires, with the Artha. So these three have to be in a conjunction, in harmony. Our desires have to be in harmony with our Dharma. The last one, moksha, liberation, would be the ultimate goal of human life. So getting into harmony with our desires, becoming friends with our desires, understanding healthy desires, fulfilling our healthy desires. For this, it's important for us to become like kids, to play like kids in the snow, in the park, playful. We tend to think that we're grown-ups. We're just kids playing that we're grown-ups. I'm just a boy playing that I am a man. So, the ghost of this second chakra is guilt. When you feel guilty, guiltiness, we tend to feel guilty about our sexuality, about pleasure, because of society, because of our family, our culture. Sometimes there's a lot of repression, repressed sexuality, and there's also the other extreme, when it's over-sexualized. Both are extremes. We need to find that balance. This balance we can work in yoga through hip openers. Hip opening postures are great for this. And of course, our contact with water. Contact with water, swimming in the lake, swimming in the ocean, going under the rain. Contact with water, drinking plenty of water. This is how we balance second chakra. Drinking water, and the second chakra's color is orange. So drinking a lot of water and eating things that have a lot of water and things that are orange, this helps a lot. Even wearing the color orange. So maybe you've seen how there's some monks, some Tibetan monks, some Lama monks, they wear orange clothes. This is because they have taken a chastity vow, and with the color orange, they can balance our second chakra, their second chakra. We relate the chakras to different glands. So here's the first polarity, the first duality, the first crisscross, where we relate the first chakra with our suprarenal glands, which relate to fear, to adrenaline, and we relate our second chakra to our sexual glands when they are actually crisscrossed. Second chakra is closer to the suprarenals, and first chakra is closer to the sexual organs. So first crisscross, sexual organs, and this has to do with water. In Ayurveda, we relate the tongue, the taste, with the sexual organ, with water. And this is what second chakra is about, this polarity that allows us to grow. There's this concept about expansion and contraction, which actually happens in all aspects of the universe. Life is contraction, expansion. And thing here is that there's this startle reflex when something happens and we freeze. It's like a stress response. When we freeze, we can freeze either after an inhalation or after an exhalation, after an expansion or after a contraction. And this will determine certain patterns in your behavior. So if you freeze after expansion, you tend to become you tend to develop over boundaries. You tend to keep people away, to become very rigid like ice. Whilst when you freeze after a contraction, you become under boundaries. You don't have enough boundaries. So it's about finding that balance between having too many boundaries and too little boundaries. This is the secret of second chakra. Expansion, contraction. Second chakra has to do with all the fluids, all the water in our body. There's fluid in each one of our cells. Second chakra governs our liquids, our plasma, our blood, our urine. For men, our semen. For women, the breast milk for mothers, menstruation for women. All this, if you have any problems retaining liquids, this has to do with the second chakra. We want to balance. We don't want to have too much water. We don't want to have too little water. We don't want to be ice. We want to be like water and flow. When we get older, we become stiffer like ice, and eventually we die, become like steam. Second chakra. Second chakra relates, or the way that the symbol of the second chakra, it's a lotus flower with 6 petals. This number 6 has a lot of meanings. We can think about this David star that has 6 points. It's 2 triangles, masculine triangle upwards and feminine triangle downwards, uniting. So this second chakra is this unit, it's the catalyzer that will push Kundalini up towards the upper chakras. In most people, Kundalini doesn't rise beyond second chakra. Opening this up through developing equanimity, understanding how our mind, our manas, our reactive mind is working, understanding our healthy cravings and our unhealthy cravings. This is what we do with second chakra, Swadhisthana, that has to do with love. Love is what's important. Even if Kama, desire, Kama Sutra, we tend to think that this is a manual about sex. Just 20% of Kama Sutra is about sex. The rest is about love. Desire is healthy if we can align our desire to our Dharma.